Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Film Room Podcast. This is Season 2, Episode 25. I'm your host, Joe Baress, joined by my co-host, Joby Fawcett. Joby, how we doing?
Joe, I'm doing quite well, and I cannot wait to speak with our Times-Tribune Athlete of the Week this week because I've got some really in-depth questions that I need answers for from someone who is a seasoned athlete in swimming.
Well, that's fantastic because we are joined by Lukas Iannone of Scranton Prep Swimming. Lukas, how we doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Hey, thanks for joining us. Just to let everyone know what Lukas did last week. He captured gold and set meet records in the 200-yard individual medley and the 100 backstroke at the Les Richards Swimming Championships. In the 200 IM, he finished in 1 minute 57.42 seconds, which broke the previous meet record of 1 minute 57.99 seconds set in 2016. And in the 100 backstroke, he finished in 52.60 seconds, breaking the meet and pool record of 53.12 seconds set in 2020. Lukas, just to start off here, obviously you're having a great season and that continued this weekend. Can you tell me a little bit about what you worked heading into the season? Was there anything specific that you tried to improve? Anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, a big thing for me, I feel like especially over the summer leading into this season, this year specifically, was I wanted to get stronger outside of the pool. So I really worked at, lifting a lot over the summer, improving my upper body and lower body strength. I mean, I was looking at it the other day. A year ago at around this time, I could barely even squat, 135. And now I could squat so much more than that. Bench has gone up so much. And I feel like that's helped me a lot in the pool. Yeah, just balancing both of those out really helped a lot.
So, Joe, you don't know this, but Lukas and I go way back, okay, from when he was a young swimmer with his brother, setting records when he was a senior at Scranton Prep, and they were teammates. A great relationship the two of them had there. And Lukas, I couldn't have been happier for you on Saturday night because that was, that's the first real showcase outside of the Ernie Shardle meet for us here in Northeast Pennsylvania for you to kind of really get your bearings where you're going to be here for the postseason. So 2 gold medals in your individual events, 2 meet records, kind of explain what that's like and the toll that takes on you and how emotional it was for you in your senior year.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like my junior year especially, I put a lot of pressure on myself, because I just didn't know where I was going to be. I wanted to do all these great things. And so junior year, I had a lot more pressure on myself. But this year, I kind of told myself to take the pressure off. It's my senior year, last year in high school. So I just told myself to go out there and, just swim, let my body do its thing, not put any mental pressure on myself. And I feel like that worked out to, the way it was supposed to.
Absolutely. Lukas, tell me about how you got started in swimming and, what's your favorite part about the sport?
Yeah, I got started. My brother was the first in our family to kind of swim. He's 3 years older than me, so I always watched him swim at our local YMCA, and I always wanted to follow in his footsteps kind of. So I got started at as soon as I could, I guess 8 years old, 7 years old, and I've just been swimming ever since.
And Lukas, you have been swimming at a very high level ever since. Okay, you've really. The one thing that maybe listeners don't understand is the 200 IM is the combination of 4 strokes that you have to have, and you've mastered all 4 of them: the breast, the fly, the free, the back. Just you are a complete swimmer. Tell me about your focus on trying to do that and make yourself a guy who can really excel, because I know you even do those events in your individuals during the course of the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, my coaches, ever since I was growing up, always emphasized to, never focus on one stroke, always be a well-rounded athlete. And so every day at practice, I'm training every stroke. I'm not, training like a sprinter or a distance swimmer. I'm kind of doing a little bit of everything. So, when it comes down to swimming at a meet, I know I'm prepared to swim whatever my coach puts me in or whatever I want to swim. So the 200 IM, I feel like, is a perfect event for me just because it has every stroke. I train every stroke, but I just love swimming the event.
Absolutely. Lucas, obviously you're a senior. What is, besides, winning races and capturing as many golds as possible, what is your role with this team? I assume you're a leader. What has it been like for you in your senior year?
Yeah, it's just great. Our whole team, we're so close together. We even had a pasta dinner the night before Les Richards, and it was just so nice to just, get close to everybody, talk about how we were feeling, going into the meet. And yeah, we spend a lot of our lives together. We're at practice, sometimes 2 or 3 hours a day. So, if somebody's, feeling a little, rough that day, we'll bring them up, or, we're always just supporting each other.
Lucas, so you mentioned practice and how much time you had to spend with your teammates. Many of our listeners are not going to know because, believe me, I got introduced to it when I first started covering swimming. Is the dedication and commitment it takes from you, not just on a physical basis, but also on a mental basis, because swimming and swimmers practice at the wee hours of the morning, okay? And then sometimes you have to go into the wee hours of the night. I know your meets don't even start until 7 o'clock. So
Yeah.
you have a very strange biological clock you have to work with as a swimmer. Talk about the dedication, the commitment, and what a practice and what a normal day is like for you guys.
Yeah, I feel like I'm definitely a lot different from a lot of other athletes in terms of when we train, but I've kind of grown to love it. We have practice at 5 a.m., sometimes 5:30 in the pretty much every morning. Saturdays we're 6 to 8 in the morning. So, the only real day I get to sleep in is Sunday, but I kind of learned to love it. I'm a big napper. Like when I come home from school, I'll take a 2 or 3 hour nap. So I feel like that's what kind of saves me. But even on days if I'm doing like 2 practices in one day, I'll wake up, go to swim, go to school, come home, nap, and then go back to swim and then do it again. So, but I've learned to love it. The pool is kind of my happy place, so I wouldn't rather do it any other way.
Uh, talk a little bit about the atmosphere of of a swimming event, and how great being a part of the Scranton Prep community is for you.
Yeah, I feel like swimming sometimes is kind of an underrated sport. Not a lot of people come to watch it. A lot of our meets, aren't very heavily crowded, like say a basketball game or like a football game. But on our senior night, we kind of packed it out a little bit more than usual, and that environment was so fun for me. Just to be able to show off, all the work that we put into all of the kids in our grade. And I'm just so grateful for, my parents and the people who have been there since day one, that have always supported me. And yeah, all the swim parents.
Lucas, the event on Saturday, the Les Richards Championships, had a little bit of a different format this year. Okay, it went to an all-time finals event, and so that is the switch was that normally you would qualify in the morning and then you would swim finals at night. So that certainly changed your, I would think, your approach to how you got ready for your final races because it just made for a very long day. How did you process all of that? And clearly it worked out for you because you had two fantastic swims.
Yeah, I was I was talking to my coach actually before the meet, and I was like, "Oh, do you remember when my freshman year when it was prelims finals?" And I was saying how it was just such a different meet from what it was this year. And yeah, I had to do a lot of things differently. Really had to relax between events, stay off my feet, get some good nutrition in. But I'm kind of used to some longer meets. I've had some longer meets in my swimming career, so it wasn't really too different from some past meets I've competed in. So kind of just told myself to trust my experience and yeah, just let it happen.
Joe, if I could just one more for you, Lucas, the competition that you had. I mean, Roy Ayala is a fantastic swimmer in the IM. He's a guy who can push you. But all season, the outstanding swimming in the Lackawanna League, I think, has helped and benefited you really for the most part this year, because it is hard to get somebody who can compete at your level. So how much has that helped you this year?
Yeah, I mean, I can't stress enough how grateful I am to have all those, guys in our league. I'm so grateful that they push me, every day to just, strive to be better. Obviously, going into the meet, I knew like he was going to be close to me. I knew, in the 100 back there was some great talent. So I knew, it reminds me every day to, do my best at practice, to not leave anything left in the tank. Because I know that there's always guys there who, if I'm not on my A game, they're going to be taking first place. So I just always have to be training to my full potential.
Yeah, but Lucas, you told me you weren't on your A game. You weren't feeling well going into the meet, for crying out loud. And I felt bad for you after the meet when I was talking to you. How did you manage that? How did you kind of keep that out from distracting you and still go out and perform to the level you did?
Yeah, I mean, you could kind of hear my voice right now. I'm still a little sick. I'm trying to get through it, but yeah, I mean, I kind of just always, I've always trained while sick. I've never really, I've tried not to complain a lot when sick. And yeah, I mean, I told my body, it needs to do and it needs to do. Physically, I was a little under the weather, but I mean, I always count my kicks, count my strokes. So I told myself, just count the numbers. Don't focus on anything else. Don't like focus on being sick. Just kind of let the body does what it, kind of does. And I just went out there and swam, and it benefited me, I guess. I mean, I came out with first place. I really didn't expect to, honestly, with how I was feeling, but it ended up working out.
Yeah, Lucas, you talked about touching on it a little bit, but if you expand a little more on obviously your brother was a big inspiration, and your parents have helped you along the way as well. How important has your family been to your athletic career?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be here without my parents. I mean, from a young age, taking me, I mean, before I could drive, they were the ones taking me to practice at, 5 in the morning, before they had work, and after school and all of this stuff. So they're really the ones that have supported me, buying me food, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I mean, I just wouldn't be there without them, and especially my brother too. I mean, he's kind of I definitely wouldn't be here without him. I mean, he's kind of the one who pushed me in practice when I was first starting out. I always looked up to him. And yeah, I mean, I just always like to continue that tradition now. I mean, he's he's swimming in college now, so I'm still, looking at his times. He just had his championship meet this weekend, and he got a new best time of the 100 back the same day I swam the 100 back. So that was kind of cool. Yeah, so I mean, we're just still continuing that tradition of being a swim family.
All right, Lucas. So I have a series of questions here. So Joe, give me a chance here, because this
I'll
is
go
the
get a cup of coffee.
this is the in-depth part of swimming that I want to get into. Okay, Lucas, you're coming up now on what is the tapering phase of the season. And every year I talk to you kids and you athletes after the Les Richards, and all of you start to bring up the word tapering. For you, in swimming jargon, you and your fellow athletes know what that means. Tell everybody what that is, what that entails as you prepare for districts in 2 weeks.
Yeah, so I mean, tapering is kind of, I mean, in a normal setting of the season, you kind of have a normal average of yards that you swim out of practice. So say you're swimming, 4,500 to 5,000 yards of practice, and then in kind of a week leading up, maybe 2 weeks leading up to, an important meet, you'll kind of come down in the yardage. You'll come down to like 3,000 and then eventually 2,000 yards a day, kind of just giving your body a rest, re-energizing your system, kind of preparing your central nervous system to go fast. And I feel like it helps a lot. Definitely. It gives you a lot more energy. You feel just ready to go.
Is there any point, Lucas, when you have a day like you had Saturday, when you worry about what tapering the effect may have on you? Because I'm a track guy, okay? I ran track in high school, and I always worried if I laid off the gas too much that I wouldn't be ready for that district championship level meet and something would go wrong. And here I was a week earlier performing at this high level. Does that ever creep into your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like my thought with swim is, we're bringing down the yards, but we're not bringing down the intensity. So I'm still swimming with, maximum effort every day, but I'm just not swimming as much. I'm still hitting my times. I mean, I feel like a lot of kids ruin their taper by thinking like, oh, I don't need to go as hard in practice, but it's quite the opposite actually. You're going as hard or even harder in practice. You're just coming down in yards, and that's really preparing you for the meet.
It helps to have a coach like Colin Manley, who's pretty astute to what you need to do in your training. But so the suits, I hear athletes and swimmers tell me about. Okay, we're going to change to this different suit for the postseason. What do you have any kind of a pattern that you'd go with in changing your suit, or are you kind of set in the way you're going to approach this?
Yeah, I mean, I always buy a new suit for the championship season. I feel like a lot of swimmers are very, they have a preference as to which suit they like to wear. For the IM, it's a suit called the Mizuno. It's kind of like the, top standard suit for an IM swimmer. This year I think I might wear a Speedo, which is what I wore at Les Richards. It's kind of all just preference. It's what you rather. Some have more compression, some have less. I feel like for the 200 IM, I like a little less compression just so my legs are kind of there at the end of the race. But, in a sprint race, you want more compression just so you could go maximum full effort. So it's all really just kind of preference.
All right, so this is it for me now, Lukas. You still have quite a season ahead of you, okay? There's still districts, which is 2 weeks away, and states would be 2 weeks after that. And I know you compete year round, and you're going to be going to Holy Cross in the fall. But after a day, like you spend most of your time in the pool, all right? I spent 8 hours there on Saturday, and I still can't clear my sinuses of the chlorine. So how do you swimmers do it?
I don't know. I actually used to think I was allergic to chlorine when I was little. I think I am because I mean every day at practice I would be sneezing and just coughing all over the place, and that slowly kind of went away. I mean, it still kind of happens, but I mean it's tough. I mean it's a stuffy room, and you're in there for 8-10 hours on a long meet. And yeah, I mean it knocks the wind out of you, but I mean it's just one of those things we have to deal with. I mean that's why I kind of like outdoor meets. Those are kind of my favorite, just because the sun's shining and you have like clear air and the wind blowing. But yeah, on like a winter day like that when you're indoors, yeah, it gets pretty tough.
Yeah, I know you couldn't tell how fatigued I was because I was, I was a gamer on Saturday, Lukas.
That's ridiculous.
I was hanging in there, Joe.
Yeah, exactly. Well, just deal with it, Joby.
Oh, I got home.
Lukas dealt with it. Deal with it.
Clearly a much more composed young man than I am.
No doubt.
Did I look disheveled after the meet, Lukas, or no? Was I hanging?
No, you look great. You look great.
See, Joby? See? You powered through.
Believe me.
So, hey, Lukas, I'm going to ask you one more thing before we let you go. You told me that when I talked to you yesterday that, you got involved with theater for your senior year. What was your interest in that? And, have there been any plays yet? Is it what's coming up in that?
Yeah, I mean it's a musical called Newsies. It's at the end of April, and I really just wanted to get as involved in my senior year as I can. I mean, I wanted to do everything. My brother did theater 3 years out of his 4 years in high school, and I've always wanted to do it. Never thought I had enough time because of swim, but just, kind of went out on a limb and decided to do it this year because, I mean, it's my last chance. So we've been having some rehearsals, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, a lot of my friends are doing it. And yeah, I just want to, make the most of my senior year.
Well, you certainly have done that, Lukas. And listen, I kid with you, but I've enjoyed talking with you through the years. I remember meeting you when you were a sophomore, and your brother when I covered you guys, and you just had such a great relationship. And I'm very happy for you and the success you've had. I want to wish you the best of luck. Congratulations on this very well-deserved Athlete of the Week. I mean, you broke records. One of Nico Listauskas, who went on to an outstanding career at Lehigh, and former state champion in the backstroke, Peter Kawash from Lakeland. So you are an elite swimmer, and you have a lot to be proud of, and I wish you the very best moving forward.
Thank you, Joby.
Appreciate it, Lukas. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. That was Lukas Iannone of Scranton Prep Swimming.
I'm a little lightheaded. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't want to downplay it, but 8 hours, Joe.
And seriously, Joby, I'm just busting you. I don't know how you do it. To be honest with you, when we were interviewing Lukas, I was giving you a hard time, but I honestly I don't know how you do it.
Joe, don't forget, I had to log 4.5 hours on Friday night for the diving, which, by the way, came down to a thrill. It's hard to believe when you sit through 11 rounds of diving that it comes down to the last dive.
Sure.
And Abington Heights teammates Michael White and Ryan Horowitz came right down to the final dive, and Ryan Horowitz won by 1 point. And then we have to have a 30-minute post game to try to do all the math over again because, Joe, you have to much like you on your taxes, Joe, you've got to double check some of that stuff.
Absolutely, Joby.
Hey, 1
Absolutely.
point separated the two kids. And
That's pretty crazy.
so, I mean, we didn't have any accountants there, so we did the best we could. And so that was a long night in the pool. And then you have to get up early the next morning and get right back in the natatorium courtside there. And boy, what a great job too by the Copa family, Eric Copa and his wife. They did a great job keeping the meet moving and keeping me entertained the best they could while I was fading in and out. I'm not going to lie to you. I was famished. I was thirsty. I was sweating like I was in a sauna.
Oh, jeez.
It was a long day.
Joby, I should have brought you a pizza or something.
Well, I can't have that stuff, Joe. What's wrong?
That's true. That's true. I wouldn't have helped matters at all.
No, but I love pizza, Joe.
You do love pizza. You do love
pizza. Anyway.
Yeah. But
what a great meet, Joe. I know we're obviously lauding Lukas Iannone. He certainly deserves an athlete of the week, but I have to really thank the athletes at the Les Richards because I always look forward to this meet. You know how I am during track season with the Robert Spagna and the districts, the Jordan relays and all those things. And this meet really, Rebecca Oakes won 4 gold medals for the second year in a row. So she had a fantastic performance. She also had a meet record in the girls' meet. She was the real standout performer there. Roy Ayala had a meet record in the breaststroke later on in the Les Richards. Fantastic performance by the kids from Tunkhannock, who, by the way, Joe, I'm, going on the record here now. And again, I'm not, trying to fool anybody into believing that I know anything more about swimming than I do right here in our backyard. But just based on history and the times that I saw, Tunkhannock's really going to be in the hunt for the team state title at the state championships if, in fact, these kids can duplicate the performance they had at the Les Richards. Just Jaden Baltrositis was amazing. A couple of records for him, and their relays are outstanding. The depth that this team has in the pool, I believe, what was the Elk Lake coach who said it's generational. It's very, once in a while you get a kid like a Lukas Iannone or a Roy Ayala. And, in years past, we've had Aiden Drouse and Peter Kawash, of course. And, way back when, if you want to talk about Kenny Clezo and Jamie Grennan. But very rarely do you have a team with this kind of a depth, certainly on the boys' side. So I foresee them doing some real good things moving forward. And also the Scranton Prep girls. Joe, a lot of depth on that team as well. In addition to the great performance by Rebecca Oakes, we had Ava Kashuba win the breaststroke, and Ella Schofield had a win in the 200 free. So they have some depth as well, Scranton Prep. So it's going to be a fun time here in the postseason. I just wish District 2 would do a better job of not running the swim meet the same time we do the basketball championships, but I guess the calendar dictates that, Joe.
Certainly. And in Lukas's Athlete of the Week interview, which if you're listening here, be sure to check it out on our website. We're recording this Monday afternoon, and would you consider 4:30 the evening or the afternoon, Joby?
I'm not an expert in the field of Eastern Standard Time, Joe.
I guess if I gave the time, everyone could be the judge, but
you and I are up so often now. I don't sleep in like you till noon, Joe. So it's really strange for me. So I'll call it late afternoon.
There you go. That works. So yeah, Lukas was very complimentary about the girls' team and Rebecca Oakes, who he trains with. And be sure to check out that Athlete of the Week interview, which will be on the web on Tuesday. And if you like picking up a paper, you could do that too. It'll be in Tuesday's paper. So, and like you said, Joby, it just feels like there's great competition this year. Some great swimming athletes. I'm not trying to say that we haven't had great swimming athletes in the past, but I feel like the depth is pretty impressive this year.
Yeah, and a lot of the kids are setting school records and meet records and pool records. It's really impressive to watch when you see it up close and personal. Joe, there were some fantastic finishes at that West. I mean, I know I try to document it on video, Joe, because right now I'm what they call a digital creator. So
that's right, you are.
Best we could, but yeah, it's my winter version of track and field. Okay, so forgive me if I feel like I'm gushing a little bit, but I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. I have built some relationship with some of these kids because a lot of times in swimming, Joe, as you know, the athletes tend to kind of establish themselves very early in their careers. Well, most of the time on the girls' side as freshmen, so you have them for 4 years. And Lukas is one of those young athletes. Same thing with Roy Ayala. I've covered them for 4 years now, so they get to know me a little bit, and I get to know them. So it was a lot of fun to see them. And I do get, you don't ever want to say that you're, showing favoritism to anybody, but in those types of settings, I do, enjoy seeing the kids succeed at that kind of level, knowing the dedication and the commitment that they've made to their sport.
Without a doubt, Joby, next year, do we get you like a lane? You put like a GoPro on your head or something, and get different visuals there.
The difference about me covering swimming is I'm extremely good at drowning, so I'm not so sure I would do well in maintaining any type of balance, or I'm not real skilled in the swim genre, if you will. So I don't know if that'll work, Joe, but we're going to see. We have to try to evolve and adapt. So we'll see how it plays out.
That's right. I guess maybe you'll do that when I get on a wrestling mat with one of my kids.
I want to throw the fear in any half.
So yeah, don't know if that's in the budget either. But anyway, Joby, it's obviously it's the postseason. Postseason.
Joe, it tips off.
Exactly. So let's start with.
Joe, by the way, thanks for booking this podcast on what was supposed to be a nice, calm, relaxed evening for me at home.
It just mean you had all this time, right? I mean,
I've only got to file 2 more stories, so we're
rolling right along. I know. So Joby, what have we? You've kind of been going over it on these podcasts. Where you think things were going to play out, and you've written numerous stories, notebooks about it. But what do we have? What do we have looking ahead this week in boys basketball?
All right, Joe. So let's start right at the top. Okay, Let's congratulate our division champions in the boys Lackawanna League. We had Abington Heights win in Division 1. Fantastic season by the Comets. Jordan Schaefer and Andrew Kettle, the senior leaders of that team, really had an outstanding season, undefeated in league play. Congratulations to Coach J.C. Shaw and his group there. Abington Heights, Joe, by the way, will be the number 1 seed for District 2 Class 5A. And the Crestwood Comets, who lost in the Wyoming Valley Conference final to Dallas, will be the number 2 seed. And those 2 teams will both receive byes. So then we're going to hit the quarterfinals tomorrow, Tuesday night. And that'll involve Loma Paul Pack playing against North Pocono and Nanticoke playing against Pittston area. Okay. So congratulations again to Abington Heights. Also, congratulations to Riverside and Joe. The dominoes fell just right last Wednesday. Okay. So Riverside did its part, picked up a victory in the regular season finale, remained with just 1 loss in Division 2 play. But Old Forge Joe, even down a starter, Ryan DeMarco could not play. He had a little cut above his eye. So it required some stitches. Now he was able to get back into action on Friday, but he had to sit that one out. And his senior teammates, no, there's 9 seniors on the Old Forge basketball team. If you caught my story a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
They played very inspired basketball. Logan Fanning was dominant.
Yeah.
Career high 28 points. And Cameron Parker came alive in the second half. I think he scored 18 of his 26 in the second half. And Old Forge upset Dunmore to prevent us from having to have a Division II playoff game to determine that champion. So what it did there was give Riverside and Dunmore a chance to kind of reset without having to play that playoff game and get themselves ready for the District 2 Class 3A playoffs. We all knew going in, Riverside was going to be the number 1 seed no matter what would have happened in that playoff game had it been necessary to play. So Dunmore's the number 2 seed there. Some really outstanding basketball teams in Class 3A, and that starts at the number 1 and 2 seeds. Then at number 3 is Elk Lake. Joe, a 20-game winner and the Division 3 champion. I went up to Susquehanna.
Yes, you did.
And I caught Elk Lake winning that basketball game. A great performance. Chase Pond was outstanding. John Heitzman early on, just very aggressive to the basket. And it was a great game by Elk Lake. I was very impressed. Coach John Monero did a great job there. And so Elk Lake will be the 3 seed. So you have Division 2 champion Riverside as the 1, Division 3 champion Elk Lake as the 3. So that's going to be very interesting there. And in between those two, of course, is Dunmore. And then you have number 4 seed, your alma mater, Joe.
That's right.
Holy Cross, which has recovered nicely from a season filled with injuries. And they'll play a very tough opponent in the quarterfinals on Wednesday, Holy Redeemer, longtime rival. And the winner of that game gets Riverside on Saturday afternoon at 1:00 in the semifinals.
Yep. We got us a holy war, Joby. Yeah, it's the Holy Cross, Holy Redeemer. It's fantastic.
I don't use that term, Joe. You and your elk from the Catholic League, you guys use that term around. I don't like to use it.
That's fair. I probably shouldn't use it.
Yeah, I try to keep myself clear of that stuff. But yeah, no, that should be a big game. That's going to be a great game.
Absolutely.
And so that kind of clears up what we have. Lakeland will play against Elk Lake in the quarterfinals, and Montrose will play Dunmore in the other quarterfinals. So that takes care of our 3 division champions in the Lackawanna League for boys basketball. So kind of following up on Old Forge with its fantastic finish, beating Dunmore and then beating Mountain View on Friday and what was senior night for Old Forge. And so the Blue Devils will be the number 1 seed in Class 2A. They'll draw a bye. And then we have all the matchups in Class 2A that we had known going in. Susquehanna was able to hold on to that number 2 seed. Lackawanna Trail is the number 3 seed. Blue Ridge at number 4. And those teams, will host in the quarterfinals. Okay. So, you'll have Blue Ridge, I believe, has Wyoming Seminary. Forest City has to go and play at Susquehanna. And you've got Mountain View playing at Lackawanna Trail. So that's the first round of the Class 2A playoffs. And I believe they are also Wednesday. Joe, I'm doing this off the top of my head. Give me a chance to kind of gather my thoughts.
It's impressive.
Some forget what classification it is, but 2A, that's how that one's going to play out. All right. A much more complicated scenario comes in Class 4A. Dallas, of course, the Wyoming Valley Conference postseason champion. Congratulations to the Mountaineers. And listen, Joe, the Mountaineers have had a great season. They also have a win over Abington Heights during the course of the non-league season. So that's a very good basketball team down there in Dallas. So Dallas will be the 1 seed. Scranton Prep is going to be the 2 seed. I have a story going to be in the paper tomorrow, Joe. I just posted the video on Jimmy and Packy Doherty. It's an emotional one. It's a tearjerker, especially for those who are close to the Doherty family. They've suffered a terrible loss a couple of years ago when Jimmy's mom, Lindsay, who was running the the Scranton Half Marathon, she completed the race and collapsed at the finish line and died not long after that, after receiving some CPR. And so the math kind of confused me at the time. Jimmy said he was 6 or 7 at the time, so he's kind of grown up through the years here, having to deal with the loss of his mom. He gets real emotional in the story, also on the video. And he had, got great support from Packy Doherty, who not only is his next door neighbor, but also his cousin. So it's a cool little story. Make sure you pick up the paper. Should be a good one. Or if you get a chance, check out the video. Hey, let me gather my thought. Wyoming area is the 3 seed, Joe. Valley View is the 4 seeds again. So those teams will host those top 4 seeds. And again, rattling it off, Joe. I've got Mid Valley at the 8 seed. Will play Dallas. I've got Honesdale, the 7 seed at Scranton Prep. I've got, let me think now, Joe. Give me a chance.
I'll give you a chance.
Tunkhannock, the 6 seed.
Yep.
You playing at the 3 seed Wyoming area, and then the 5 seed is Hanover area playing at Valley View. How'd I do?
Yeah, you nailed it. You nailed it.
That's good. That's just by memory, Joe. So that's pretty good. And I'll be at the Valley View Hanover area game. That's why I knew that one right off the top. We talked 5A already. And in 6A, Joe, got a little bit hectic and a little bit chaotic on Saturday. Williamsport lost to Executive Education on Saturday night, which kind of created an interesting thing in the power rating. So Wilkes-Barre actually flipped with Williamsport, which is the District 4 team in that sub-regional tournament. So Wilkes-Barre area draws the bye. And so, Joe, bear with me. We're going to go Wyoming Valley West at Williamsport in the finals. We've got West Scranton against the 3rd seed Delaware Valley. Interesting matchup there, Joe. Delaware Valley and West Scranton split their 2 games.
Right.
And then we've got Scranton, the defending 5-time champion, at Hazleton area in the quarterfinals. I got a great story coming up on Wednesday as well, Joe, on the Battaglia family. As no matter whether they lose in the quarterfinals, they lose in the final. This is the final season with Tony being a senior and playing for his dad, Tony, at Scranton High. How'd I do, Joe?
That was, aces, Joby. That was well done. I don't know how you do that. I really don't. I looked at the whole thing myself.
My mind is fried.
Apparently. Well, you rolled through there. Yeah, Joby. Obviously the Old Forge game was on TV, so as I was working, I kind of had it on in the background, and it just, this is, not that it didn't help other teams, but this league schedule probably is going to benefit Old Forge in a big way.
Yes, Joe.
And and like you said, like you had written about and everything, it just seemed like Logan Fanning was just so dominant on that day, and going into the 2A tournament, I think you got to watch out for Old Forge based on how much their experience will pay off, going into, again, we don't like to put the cart in front of the horse, but, going into a potential state tournament.
Joe, how do you like Old Forge? 6 losses. They lost to Riverside twice.
Yep.
They lost to Dunmore. They lost to Valley View. Okay. They lost to Wilkes-Barre, the number 1 seed in the Class 6A tournament.
Yep.
And they lost once to Holy Cross. That's a resume that no Class 2A team has in the state. And I will argue with anybody because I fully expect, Joe, whoever comes out of Class 3A in boys District 2 is going to make, if not the first place team certainly is, and the second place team in the second automatic berth is going to as well, make deep runs into the state playoffs in Class 3A. So whoever those kind of combination of teams is going to be, Old Forge has played against. So
right.
So and Old Forge is going to be down at 2A. Now there are going to be some teams in Class 2A in the state that will be competitive and certainly can put some points up. And you always run into maybe Constitution out of Philadelphia.
Right.
So we'll see how that plays out for Old Forge, how the matchups come through. But Logan Fanning is going to be a handful, and Cameron Parker can shoot. Cam Krishnowski can really knock down the 3. And with Ryan DeMarco back at Old Forge, is going to be a good team.
Absolutely, Joby. All right, let's try to move.
I promise you that I can recite anything involving the girls.
I was going to say we'll go to the girls. Obviously, a great great season for North Pocono as they ended as our girls' number one team after defeating Scranton Prep. I believe it was 38-21, something along those lines for the Division I title. It just, Coach Joe Ferguson, he stresses defense, and North Pocono obviously played some great defense in that game. So they were the Division I champions. Moving along to, Division III, Mountain View ends up taking the Division III title. And, that seemed like it had the potential to head to a playoff, but Elk Lake ended up defeating Montrose, enabling Mountain View to capture the Division III league title. When it comes to Division II, I believe the streak is now at 108 straight games, league victories for Dunmore, and obviously they once again went undefeated to capture the Division II title.
Mind-boggling, Joe.
It's crazy. It's a lot. It's a lot. So I guess I should say in the Class 1As of boys and girls, we had basically there won't be any District 2 finals games for either of them because for the girls, Susquehanna and MMI Prep didn't qualify for the tournament, and I believe in the
So Joe, in that scenario, the MMI Prep declined to play.
That's right. Okay.
Correct. I may be wrong on this. I think they're 0-22. So
Correct.
they chose not to participate in what would be a game at the arena against Susquehanna. So Susquehanna is declared the District 2 Class 1A champion. In the boys, MMI Prep is the only Class 1A team in District 2.
Right.
And you have to earn your way to a district title. They don't just hand it out. So by not participating and not qualifying for that sub-regional tournament, there'll be no District 2 Class 1A team champion declared this year.
Right. Okay. Yes. Thank you for guiding me through that. I was I was bumbling a little bit.
Well, it's confusing, Joe, because in other sports there are some rules in place where, especially when we go directly into the sub-regional level of play.
Right.
Where the team that represents District 2 with the highest power rating would be declared the District 2 Class 1A champion.
Right.
But because MMI Prep didn't qualify to play in the sub-regional, you have to have the ability to earn your title.
Right.
And MMI wouldn't be playing a game. So
right.
They're not declared the champion.
That makes sense. So moving on to 2A girls, which gets started tomorrow. Wyoming Seminary is the top seed.
They held on to that, Joe, with Mountain View trying to close fast.
I was going to say just barely, but they absolutely held on to it. They'll take on Lackawanna Trail, the 8 seed, tomorrow night. As of now, we do have Steve Bennett covering that game. The number 2 seed, as you had mentioned, Mountain View, will host Old Forge. Holy Cross, the 3 seed, will host 6 seed Forest City. And Elk Lake, the 4 seed, will host number 5 Blue Ridge.
I would be very cautious in Class 2A because, as you know, Mountain View did stumble at the end of the year against Montrose.
Right.
And Elk Lake beat Montrose to allow for Mountain View to enjoy that championship. So Elk Lake is a team you've got to keep an eye on in Class 2A. And Holy Cross is playing its best basketball of the year as well here at the tail end. I believe had a 19-point win over Honesdale in the finale.
Yeah.
So I would be very, very cautious before saying, now Mountain View certainly has the advantage when you have Addison Kilmer.
Right.
But you're going to have to be playing very good basketball if you're going to want to win that 2A championship in girls basketball.
Certainly, Joby. And so also tomorrow night, we've got the quarterfinals in Class 3A. Dunmore, the top seed there, will host number 8 Carbondale area. Holy Redeemer, the 2 seed, will host Lakeland, the 7 seed. Number 3 Lake Lehman will host number 6 Western Wayne, and we'll have number 4 Riverside hosting number 5 Montrose. Joby, I believe we have the veteran Scotty Walsh going to that game as of now. So
that's an intriguing matchup as well. And I was going to point out, all eyes, and rightfully so, will be on Dunmore and Holy Redeemer probably playing again, right? That's the anticipation when you look at the seeding and the schedules that the two teams played during the course of the regular season. But I would again caution, especially in the girls' basketball, Montrose plays just enough defense, and Sadie Jones is certainly capable of pumping in 30 points in a game.
Yep.
And we know Riverside has had a very good season. Now, Faith Pavlonis didn't play the last 2 games of the year, so we'll see how that plays out for Riverside, and I'm sure they'll be at full strength for the postseason. So Riverside has made some real strides through the course of the regular season as well. So there are some pretty interesting matchups there in Class 3A.
Without a doubt, Joby. And also tomorrow night, the 6A tournament gets started with number 3 Delaware Valley hosting number 6 West Scranton, and number 4 Wilkes-Barre area hosting Wyoming Valley West. The top 2 seeds in that classification are Hazleton area, the number 1 seed, and number 2 seed Scranton. Hazleton area just coming off the WVC title for the girls,
which was no easy task, Joe, when you have to knock off Crestwood for that.
No, exactly. That's where we'll head next.
So real quick there, I just want to mention, now, I believe Scranton finished the season 10-12, Paul?
That is correct, yes.
Scranton High girls may be the best 10-12 team in the history of high school basketball.
Seriously.
No, if I went through, if you read the top 10 story today, and you saw the teams, again, a lot like Will Forge, you look at the number of teams that Scranton lost to, and by the margins, which were in several of the games, now 12 losses, right?
Right.
7 of those losses, Scranton had the lead or was tied in the fourth quarter of those games. And remember, lost to Crestwood, right?
Yep.
Lost to Dallas, lost to Scranton Prep, lost to North Pocono twice. Now, these are the who's who of the girls' tournament. So
right,
that's a pretty impressive team right there at Scranton at 10-12. Don't be deceived by the record.
Absolutely. In Class 5A, as we had just kind of talked about, number 1 is Crestwood. They will get a bye. Dallas is the number 2 seed. They will host Wallen-Paupack. North Pocono is the number 3 seed. They'll host number 6 Berwick. Abington Heights is the number 4 seed. They will host Pittston area. I mean, you kind of talked about with Scranton, but that is a deep Class 5A. For sure.
It is, Joe, and here's why. Now, Joe, do they have a third place game in 5A? They did not, right? So
yeah.
So this is going to be really a tight race, because we know how talented Crestwood and Dallas are. Very competitive teams. They play an intense non-league schedule with 2 teams there. And the gauntlet that North Pocono had to run, obviously we just talked about what Scranton ran, right? And North Pocono was the division champion out of those teams, ending at, I believe, a 8-year run for Scranton Prep as a Division I champion.
8 year, yep. Mm-hmm.
So, and if there's a coach among all the coaches in District 2 who can figure out ways to frustrate talented, high-scoring teams like Crestwood and Dallas, it's Joe Ferguson. And so he's got those kids in North Pocono, Ella Clementoni, her sister Anna Clementoni, and believing, Celia DeCesar, just they believe in this defensive mentality. And so that's going to be a really interesting semifinal round in Class 5A.
Without a doubt. And Joby, I don't know if you needed it confirmed, but yeah, two state qualifiers out of that classification. In Class 4A, Scranton Prep has the number 1 seed. They will host Hanover area. Valley View is number 2. They will host Mid-Valley, the number 7 seed. Number 3, Nanticoke area will host number 6, Tunkhannock. And number 4, Honesdale will host number 5, Wyoming area. So that's and that's happening on Wednesday. That tournament gets started on Wednesday.
And Joe, if I could,
Mhm.
a real good moment here in high school basketball last week with Valley View coach Robbie Martin being able to return to the sidelines. For those who had an opportunity to read the great story that Scott Walsh did in covering the game against Abington
Yes.
last week, Robbie Martin, who is a very close friend of mine, by the way, I've known him for 20 years probably, and his wife is battling a very challenging form of cancer. Okay, she's had to endure some really exhausting surgeries, and Robbie took a leave and had to spend some time down in Maryland and out of town and away from the team. And the team, you don't necessarily understand what that means to young players, young high school athletes when they lose their head coach. And Ben Lorenzetti did a great job, but it's just different. And clearly Valley View is playing a lot better now. And many prayers are out to Robbie Martin's wife. And he has a young daughter. And there's things that are just more important than the game of basketball. We like to talk sports here. And so I just think Valley View is a team to watch, certainly in that classification. We're able to beat Scranton Prep earlier in the year, and I think now reset and refocused, and with Coach Martin back, it could be a real interesting Class 4A playoff bracket there. But certainly I want to, shout out to Scott Walsh for a great job that he did in handling that story. And again, it's great and lots of prayers and support for Robbie Martin and his wife.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. And, former Holy Cross assistant coach, Rob Martin, when I was playing there. So absolutely the best wishes to them. So Joby, we had let me try to explain this the best I can. The District 2 wrestling pre-seeds came out today. The coaches have opportunity for challenges, so they do not get truly verified until Wednesday. But there usually aren't too many changes, something here or there. I think they were exact. I don't think they got anything wrong last year, honestly. So Honesdale has the most top seeds in Class 2A with 5. Pittston area has the most number 1 seeds in Class 3A boys, and Crestwood girls have the most top seeds for the girls tournament with 3. All 3 will happen simultaneously at Inside the Den at Wilkes-Barre area starting Wednesday. Wrestling gets started 4:30 on, what did I say, Wednesday? Friday. Yeah. Whoops.
I was going to tell you that.
Yeah, let's not send people there on Wednesday for wrestling.
Correct you on your own show, though.
No, I appreciate it, Joby. It'll be Friday and Saturday will be the tournament. It gets started on Friday at 4:30 with the round of 16 matches, and that will go until the semifinals will start on Saturday. We'll start the day at 10 a.m. and Saturday's kind of a long day. The finals will be at 4 o'clock. So there'll be a lot of wrestling. We'll have 39 champions out of District 2. We put the 3 tournaments together. Just a few intriguing, if the seeds hold things from that I see kind of at a glance. 152 in Class 3A, Ethan Aftwicks of Pittston area and Lucas Drake of Abington Heights. They're the 1 and 2 seeds. They've had some battles this year. I believe three overtime matches with Aftwicks, I believe, winning 2 of them and Lucas Drake winning 1 of them. So that could certainly be a fun matchup if the seeds hold.
Vision Quest, Joe.
Yes, that's a Vision Quest. It's going to be fantastic. I've got me and Tom Fox will kind of tag team the breakdowns of each weight class. I'll handle the 2A and 3A boys, and Tom will handle the girls tournament, complete with predictions, so you could see how wrong we are or how right we are.
Now, Joe, let me ask you this. This is a more important question for you and Tom Fox. Okay.
Tell me. Yeah.
Because the wrestling will take care of itself. We'll be able to recap it next week.
Yeah.
What's going to be in your lunch pail, Joe?
That's a great question, Joby. I usually bring some Chewy bars with me. I don't know that I'm supposed to have them, but I have them. And also, I usually on Saturday, in between, the finals and the semifinals, I take a break. I go to the concession stand. There's some really good options there. I mean, there's pierogies, some chicken. There's some really good options. So I'm already excited for that. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm excited for the wrestling, but I'm always excited to eat. So I'll be.
Just remember, keep in mind, okay?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
These wrestlers, they're on very strict diets. Okay, so
yeah.
you walk around with a drumstick or a slice of pizza. Just try to, show some decorum there. Don't end up like George Costanza on the big screen with ice cream all over your face. All right, just
That's fair. All right.
Take it slow, and pace yourself. If I could recommend maybe some crackers or
Good idea.
or some peanuts in between, sessions or what have you. But, make sure you're hydrated and make sure you're eating nutritiously properly. Okay.
Always hydrated. Absolutely, Joby. Absolutely.
A lot of hours, Joe. I'm worried about you.
I appreciate that. And just to give our readers and listeners an idea of what else is to come besides the full breakdowns with predictions of who's going to win each weight class, I'm going to have a feature on Lukas Iannone of Scranton wrestling. He's had a very strong career at Scranton, so I'll have a story on that. And we'll have a story on Sydney Schaefer of Lackawanna Trail, a girls wrestling story. It's the interesting thing with people taking a look at the girls' seeds, the girls' brackets. They can only work from records of girls wrestling girls. So Sydney Schaefer is one of the best wrestlers in the area, in the state even. I believe she's ranked number 3 in the state at 100 pounds. She is the number 8 seed, and she's going to be someone to look for at 100 pounds. I'm going to have a feature on her as well this week. So very, very interesting as we get these new waves of girls into the sport and just growing the sport. And also, Tom Fox will have a feature on former West Scranton star Michael Turry as he ends up wrestling at National Prep Wrestling for Wyoming Seminary. The Nationals are this weekend. So a lot coming up. Joby, I hope we could fit it in the paper.
Well, if not, it'll certainly be online, where we encourage you to subscribe.
We will certainly all be online. Please go there. There's some great rates to get an online subscription and all the coverage you could ever hope for. So,
Joe, and that reminds me, I have a couple of things to do yet tonight before I call it a night. So
you've got some things to do.
You do too.
Yeah, I just promised a bunch of stuff, so I guess I better get going. We're over the hour mark. So thank you to Lukas Iannone for joining us on top of the show. Follow us at the Times-Tribune.com/sports. Follow us on X at SportsTT. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook, Times Tribune Sports. Follow us here. Subscribe. It's free. You can subscribe on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, and of course Podbean, where we record this episode. We're recording this episode now, and we try to do weekly. So got a big weekend ahead of us and a big week. Follow along. And last but not least, Joby, thank you so much for taking the time to join.